Sales is all about negotiation, price, delivery, terms, and every day, salespeople leave money on the table. They just don't have the skills to get what they want. Now Stephan Schiffman, drawing on years of experience, shows you how to nail the sale, hit quotas, and boost the bottom line. Schiffman-style negotiation is all about getting the best deal, and he outlines specific techniques to get there. Things can be tough out there, but with Schiffman's negotiation skills in your pocket, you can do battle and win. Introduction. The text is an introduction to a book on negotiation and sales written by Stephan Schiffman. He emphasizes that negotiation is an integral part of everyday life, not just limited to business deals. The author believes that to succeed in sales, one must be proficient in negotiation. He points out that negotiation skills are not innate, and most people acquire them on the go without formal training. The book aims to teach salespeople the philosophy and techniques of successful negotiation. The author shares a set of principles underlying his tactics for negotiation: believing in oneself and the product being sold, listening to the client, gathering information about prospects, using time efficiently, and being creative. He argues that mastering these principles is crucial for successful negotiation, and the tactics naturally flow from them. The author disagrees with the phrase win-win, often used in negotiation books, because it overlooks the essential aspect of knowing what one wants to achieve in a negotiation. He encourages readers to identify what they want to win at the outset of any negotiation, as it is a fundamental step to becoming a skilled negotiator. The introduction was written in June 2009 by Stephan Schiffman, who has a vast experience observing and teaching salespeople the art of negotiation. Before you sit down at the table. Chapter 1 of the book emphasizes the importance of asking the right questions in negotiations, especially for salespeople. The author shares a story about a salesperson who offered significant discounts without understanding the customer's true needs, which resulted in a substantial loss for the company. The author advises against relying solely on discounting as a negotiation tactic and encourages salespeople to explore other elements of the sale. The author highlights the significance of understanding the customer's priorities and concerns through asking detailed questions. He presents an example from the dog food industry, where understanding the customer's emotional connection to their pets led to more effective sales strategies. By knowing what the customer truly values, salespeople can tailor their negotiation approach and increase their chances of success. In summary, the chapter emphasizes that negotiation involves understanding what both parties want and tailoring strategies accordingly. It advises salespeople to avoid assumptions, use a variety of tactics, and ask relevant questions to become successful negotiators. What exactly is a negotiation? Chapter 2 discusses the essence of a negotiation and its underlying dynamics. The author emphasizes that a negotiation takes place within a relationship, and success lies in understanding the customer's needs and finding common ground. Maintaining a good relationship with the customer is crucial for long-term business success. The chapter highlights the importance of asking the right questions to understand the customer's priorities and concerns. By focusing on what the customer wants, salespeople can tailor their product offerings and negotiation strategies effectively. The author emphasizes that price is not the sole point of comparison. Other factors such as quality, delivery time, and functionality should be considered in negotiations. Ultimately, negotiation is seen as a cooperative effort, where both parties work together to find points of common concern and align their goals. Understanding the customer's needs and finding common interests are the keys to successful negotiations. Get a winning attitude. Chapter 3 focuses on the importance of having a winning attitude in negotiations. The author emphasizes that attitude plays a significant role in sales and negotiations, and can greatly influence the outcome. The key points discussed in this chapter include: 1. Confidence in your product or service. Having a positive attitude about what you are selling is essential for successful negotiations. Believing in the value and benefits of your product will naturally reflect in your demeanor and communication with the customer. 2. Dressing and acting the part. Presenting yourself professionally is crucial during negotiations. Dress appropriately for the meeting and maintain a confident yet respectful demeanor. Matching the tone and formality of the customer is also essential in creating a positive impression. 3. Effective communication. Listen actively during negotiations and show that you are paying attention to the customer's needs and concerns. Taking notes and repeating back the main points of the customer's statements can demonstrate active listening. 4. Observing body language. Pay attention to the other party's body language and speech patterns. These nonverbal cues can provide valuable insights into their thoughts and emotions, which can help guide your negotiation strategy. Ultimately, having a winning attitude involves projecting enthusiasm, confidence, and genuine interest in meeting the customer's needs. A positive attitude can create a favorable atmosphere for negotiations and increase the likelihood of achieving a successful outcome. They want to win. Chapter 4 discusses the importance of recognizing that negotiation is akin to combat, and maintaining control and initiative throughout the process is crucial. The chapter draws parallels with Sun Tzu's principles from The Art of War and how they can be applied to negotiation strategies. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Recognizing negotiation as combat. The author emphasizes that negotiations are battles where both parties want to win, each pursuing their own objectives. It is essential to avoid leaving opportunities for the other party to gain an advantage. 2. Customers' desire to win. Just as the salesperson aims to win the deal, the customer also wants to achieve their desired outcome. Salespeople should assume that customers will try to get what they want from the negotiation. 3. Seizing the initiative. Sun Tzu's principle of seizing the initiative is applicable to negotiations as well. Salespeople should take the lead in the conversation, present ideas and suggestions, and be proactive in driving the negotiation toward a favorable outcome. 4. Being well prepared. Information is a critical weapon in negotiations. The more information a salesperson has about the customer's needs, preferences, and past patterns of negotiation, the better equipped they are to navigate the discussion effectively. 5. Maintaining control. By taking initiative, making key suggestions, and countering proposals, the salesperson can keep control of the negotiation. This prevents the discussion from going in undesirable directions and increases the chances of reaching a mutually beneficial agreement. The chapter stresses that negotiation is a dynamic process with various components, and successful negotiations require skillful handling of all the moving parts. By approaching negotiation with a combat mindset, being well prepared, and maintaining control, salespeople can enhance their chances of achieving favorable outcomes. Stop the discounting madness. Chapter 5 addresses the issue of excessive discounting in sales negotiations. The chapter highlights how relying on discounting as the primary negotiation tactic can negatively impact revenue and undermine the value of products or services being offered. It emphasizes the importance of using discounting as a strategic tool in combination with other negotiation tactics to achieve mutually beneficial outcomes. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Discounting as a default tactic. The author describes a scenario where a company's sales staff routinely discounted prices without much effort to negotiate on other aspects of the deal. This approach led to falling short of revenue targets despite high sales numbers. The chapter highlights the need to go beyond relying solely on discounting and to focus on other negotiation points. 2. The danger of excessive discounting. Discounting without proper strategy and consideration can lead to devaluing products or services. Customers may start expecting discounted prices as the norm, which can harm profit margins and overall business success. 3. Negotiating over multiple points. Salespeople should recognize that price is just one of several aspects that can be negotiated. Other elements, such as quality, delivery, and functionality, can also be part of the discussion. 4. Having clear numbers in mind. Before entering a negotiation, salespeople should know their starting point and how much discount they can offer while maintaining the company's profit margins. 5. Balancing concessions. Negotiation is about give and take. It is essential for salespeople to offer concessions while also expecting something in return from the customer. 6. Engaging in a dialogue. A successful negotiation involves active participation from both sides. If one party finds themselves doing all the talking, it indicates that the negotiation may be closed or unproductive. Asking questions can open up the discussion and prompt the other party to engage more actively. 7. Fighting for what you're invested in. Salespeople should be involved in the product or service development process to understand the value and reasons behind pricing decisions. This investment enhances their ability to advocate effectively during negotiations. Overall, the chapter emphasizes that discounting should be approached strategically, combined with other negotiation tactics, and not relied upon as the sole means to secure a deal. By broadening the negotiation focus and actively engaging in a dialogue, salespeople can achieve better outcomes and maintain the integrity of their products or services. Never be lied to. Chapter 6 delves into the topic of lying in negotiations and emphasizes the importance of honesty and transparency during the negotiation process. The chapter acknowledges that lying is a common human behavior and explores various reasons why people lie, such as politeness, self-preservation, or seeking an advantage. However, it argues that lying during sales negotiations can be detrimental and counterproductive. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Recognizing lies. The chapter points out that lies are prevalent in everyday interactions, and it's essential to be aware of potential signs of deception in a negotiation. These signs can include physical behaviors like sweating or stammering, as well as verbal cues like repetition or hesitation. 2. Honesty and confidence. The author stresses that being truthful during negotiations not only maintains integrity, but also enhances confidence in oneself and the product or service being offered. Believing in oneself and the value of the offering is crucial for successful negotiations. 3. The slippery slope of lying. The chapter warns about the dangers of lying leading to a web of deceit. Once someone starts lying, they may feel compelled to continue covering up the initial lie with more lies. This can erode trust and credibility, damaging the relationship with the other party. 4. The truth will come out. The chapter emphasizes that lies don't stay hidden forever, and sooner or later, the truth will be exposed. This can lead to severe consequences, both personally and professionally. 5. Honesty in negotiations. Salespeople are encouraged to be honest and straightforward during negotiations. Instead of telling the customer what they want to hear, it is better to address concerns realistically and openly. Overall, Chapter 6 advocates for the importance of integrity and authenticity in sales negotiations. Being truthful, self-confident, and transparent can lead to more fruitful and productive negotiations, building stronger relationships with customers and increasing the likelihood of successful outcomes. Draw up your battle plan. Chapter 7 emphasizes the importance of thorough preparation before entering any negotiation. The chapter likens negotiation to a battle and highlights the significance of having the necessary ammunition, which in this case is information. Proper preparation involves understanding the opponent's objectives, resources, walkaway point, and alternative to a deal. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Importance of information. Successful negotiation requires gathering information about the other party's objectives and resources. This information can be obtained from sources such as annual reports, stock prices, news articles, and the company's website. 2. Understanding the opponent. By studying the gathered information, a negotiator can gain insights into the other party's goals, priorities, and limitations. This helps in formulating a strategy that aligns with their interests. 3. Battle plan. The chapter advises drawing up a battle plan that includes clear objectives, available resources, the point at which you're willing to walk away, and an alternative to a deal. This plan acts as a roadmap and helps maintain control during the negotiation. 4. Objectives and resources. Identifying both your objectives and those of the opponent is crucial for finding common ground and reaching a mutually beneficial agreement. Understanding the resources each party can bring to the table, including financial and experiential aspects, also plays a significant role in shaping the negotiation. 5. Walkaway point. Knowing your walkaway point in advance helps prevent accepting unfavorable deals. It ensures that you won't compromise beyond what is reasonable for your business or personal interests. 6. Alternative to a deal. Having an alternative to a deal is vital in case the negotiation doesn't result in an agreement. This alternative could be pursuing other opportunities or finding alternative solutions to achieve your objectives. Overall, Chapter 7 stresses the importance of preparation, gathering information, and having a well-thought-out strategy before engaging in any negotiation. Being informed and having a solid battle plan increases the chances of successful negotiations and achieving favorable outcomes. What's your alternative to a deal? Chapter 8 discusses the concept of alternative to a deal, commonly known as BATNA, and its importance in negotiations. The chapter suggests that having a strong alternative to fall back on in case the current negotiation fails is crucial for maintaining negotiating power. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Definition of alternative. The alternative to a deal refers to the best course of action available to a negotiator if the current negotiation fails. It is the fallback option that a negotiator can resort to if the deal under discussion does not materialize. 2. Calculating the alternative. To determine the alternative, negotiators need to consider all possible scenarios if the negotiation collapses. This includes analyzing costs, potential losses, and benefits of alternative options. The more specific monetary value assigned to each alternative, the better. 3. Intangible elements. While the alternative often involves monetary considerations, it may also include intangible factors, such as the value of maintaining a long-standing relationship with a client. These intangibles should not be overlooked when assessing the overall alternative. 4. Impact on negotiation strategy. Having a well-defined alternative strengthens a negotiator's position and allows for better decision-making during the negotiation. It gives negotiators confidence and leverage in the negotiation process. 5. Considering the opponent's alternative. It is also important to think about the other party's alternative. Understanding their options can provide insights into their negotiating position and help in finding mutually beneficial solutions. 6. Preparing for different scenarios. Before entering negotiations, negotiators should analyze the best case and worst case scenarios and develop plans for each. This helps them to be better prepared for any potential outcome. In summary, the chapter emphasizes that the alternative to a deal is a vital tool in negotiations. By calculating and understanding their alternative, negotiators can approach the negotiation table with more confidence and increase their chances of reaching favorable agreements. Preparing yourself. Chapter 9 focuses on the importance of preparing oneself emotionally before entering into negotiations. The chapter highlights the significance of recognizing triggers that may provoke strong emotional reactions during negotiations, such as anger, frustration, or irritation. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Recognizing emotional triggers. The author shares a personal experience of dealing with anger during a negotiation. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the triggers that cause emotional responses in a negotiator. These triggers can vary from person to person and may include specific words, gestures, situations, or challenges to one's integrity or intelligence. 2. Identifying triggers. To effectively manage emotional responses, the chapter encourages negotiators to list situations that have triggered strong emotions in the past. By reviewing and analyzing these triggers, individuals can gain insight into their emotional responses and potential sources of frustration during negotiations. 3. Minimizing trigger impact. While it may not be possible to eliminate all triggers, the chapter suggests strategies to minimize their impact. For example, negotiators can arrange a comfortable negotiation environment or avoid certain stress-inducing factors like excessive noise or uncomfortable temperatures. 4. Emotions in negotiation. The chapter acknowledges that emotions are a natural part of human behavior and cannot be entirely suppressed. However, by recognizing emotional triggers, negotiators can take steps to control their responses and avoid letting emotions drive the negotiation process. 5. Handling triggers during negotiations. The chapter offers an example of a negotiation scenario where triggers are activated. In the example, the negotiator recognizes the triggers and responds by taking a brief break to regain composure and return to the negotiation with a clear head. In summary, Chapter 9 emphasizes the importance of emotional self-awareness and control during negotiations. By identifying emotional triggers and developing strategies to manage them, negotiators can enhance their ability to make rational decisions and achieve more successful outcomes in negotiations. Making the first moves. Chapter 10 delves into the strategy of making the first moves in negotiations, drawing parallels from the game of chess. The chapter highlights the importance of beginning with less critical issues, referred to as pawns, in the context of chess, rather than immediately introducing major concerns, akin to using the most powerful piece, the queen, at the start. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Opening with a pawn. The chapter compares negotiations to a game of chess, where players start with their pawns. It emphasizes the need to address less critical issues early in the negotiation process, and to keep more significant concerns in reserve. This approach helps to set a positive tone and build rapport with the other party before tackling more critical matters. 2. Delaying major moves. Just as chess players hold back their queen until the middle or endgame, negotiators are advised not to bring out their most potent arguments too early. By waiting for the right moment, negotiators can effectively combine strong points with other tactics to secure more favorable outcomes. 3. Combining elements. The chapter stresses the value of combining various elements during negotiations to enhance their impact. Negotiators are encouraged to use different issues together strategically to create advantageous trade-offs that result in concessions from the other party. 4. Winning something. The concept of winning material in chess translates to securing concessions in negotiations, even if they are not the most critical ones. The chapter advocates the philosophy of gaining something from a negotiation rather than leaving empty-handed, as it helps build a relationship with the other party and justifies the time and effort invested. In summary, Chapter 10 highlights the importance of employing strategic thinking in negotiations, much like a chess player plans their moves. By starting with less critical issues, combining different elements, and aiming to secure some concessions, negotiators can position themselves for more successful outcomes in their interactions. How to structure offers and counteroffers. Chapter 11 provides insights into structuring offers and counteroffers effectively during negotiations. The chapter emphasizes the importance of understanding the other party's needs and objectives and responding to their counteroffers in a thoughtful and solution-oriented manner. Key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Responding to counteroffers. The chapter stresses the significance of addressing the other party's counteroffer appropriately. Salespeople must avoid merely repeating their initial offer, but should instead acknowledge the client's concerns and propose alternative solutions that cater to their needs and budget constraints. 2. Building a negotiation pyramid. The negotiation process is compared to a pyramid, where offers and counteroffers become more specific as the parties find common ground and learn more about each other's objectives. Negotiators should take their time and consider implications before responding to counteroffers to demonstrate their preparedness and avoid appearing desperate. 3. Multi-party negotiations. In situations where multiple parties are bidding for the same deal, salespeople should not solely focus on price competition. Instead, they can use other variables, such as delivery guarantees and invoicing terms, to counter the competitor's offer and secure the sale. In summary, Chapter 11 advises salespeople to approach offers and counteroffers strategically, always keeping in mind the client's needs and objectives. Rather than getting caught in a price war, salespeople should leverage other aspects of the negotiation to stand out and build a competitive advantage. By taking a thoughtful and solution-oriented approach, negotiators can increase their chances of reaching a successful agreement. Tricks of the trade. Chapter 12 discusses various tricks of the trade used by negotiators to gain an advantage during negotiations. These tactics are commonly employed by both professional negotiators and individuals engaged in negotiations, regardless of the context or scale of the negotiation. Some of the key tricks discussed in the chapter include: 1. Come in low or high. This tactic involves making an initial offer that is different from your intended settlement point. By starting with a more extreme position, you leave yourself room for concessions while still achieving your desired outcome. 2. Hold something back. Keeping some information or concessions hidden until a key moment can give you leverage and surprise the other party, providing an opportunity for compromise. 3. Bluff. Similar to poker, bluffing in negotiations involves presenting a position or authority you may not actually have. This tactic can be used to gain an advantage, but overuse may diminish its effectiveness. 4. Silence. Using silence strategically during negotiations can put pressure on the other party to respond, potentially leading to useful information or concessions. 5. Use time wisely. Paying attention to time and the other party's reaction to it can help gauge their level of commitment and urgency, allowing you to adjust your approach accordingly. 6. Good cop/bad cop. This classic tactic involves one negotiator taking a tough stance while another appears more sympathetic. It can be effective in applying pressure or making the other party feel more comfortable. 7. Anger and happiness. Displaying controlled emotions can be a useful tool in negotiations. Demonstrating happiness when reaching agreements or anger when facing obstacles can influence the other party's perception and decisions. The chapter emphasizes that the art of negotiation includes reading and adapting to the other party's behavior, body language, and emotions. Flexibility and a willingness to adjust tactics based on the situation and the personalities involved are crucial for successful negotiations. Overall, the chapter provides valuable insights into the psychology of negotiations and how strategic use of various tactics can lead to favorable outcomes. However, It also cautions against excessive use of some tactics, as they may lose their effectiveness over time. What not to do. Chapter 13 delves into the pitfalls and behaviors to avoid during negotiations to ensure a successful outcome. The author highlights real-life scenarios where negotiations fell apart due to mistakes made by the parties involved. The chapter emphasizes the importance of maintaining professionalism and avoiding negative behaviors that can derail a negotiation. Some of the key points covered in this chapter include: 1. Words to avoid. Certain words can create tension and hinder progress during negotiations. Words like never, always, dishonest, untrue, liar, stupid, silly, can't, and won't should generally be avoided, as they may provoke negative reactions. 2. Don't get personal. Negotiations should focus on the issues at hand and not become personal battles. Avoid making it about personal ego, reputation, or integrity. Keep the focus on finding the best solution for both parties. 3. Don't lie. Outright lying in negotiations can severely damage relationships and trust. While some creative exaggeration may be permissible, outright lying is counterproductive and can lead to negative consequences. 4. Don't slam doors. Avoid burning bridges or ending negotiations with hostility. Regardless of the outcome, maintain a respectful attitude towards the other party, as future opportunities may arise from the same negotiation partners. 5. Don't dismiss your opponent's viewpoint. Show respect for your opponent's perspective and avoid belittling or ridiculing their views. Assume that they believe in the position they are defending, and focus on finding common ground. The chapter emphasizes that negotiations are not about winning at all costs, but rather finding mutually beneficial solutions. Treating the other party with respect and maintaining open communication can help prevent negotiations from breaking down irreparably. Avoiding negative behaviors and focusing on the issues at hand will increase the likelihood of achieving a successful outcome for both parties involved. Who are you talking to? Chapter 14 explores the different personality types one might encounter during negotiations and provides strategies for effectively dealing with them. The chapter begins with a reference to Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, likening some negotiators to the transformation of Dr. Jekyll into the aggressive Mr. Hyde when they enter negotiation mode. The chapter highlights 3 common negotiating personality types. 1. Aggressive. These negotiators are loud, pushy, and often seem to lack control. They may use bullying tactics to intimidate the other party. The key to dealing with aggressive negotiators is to assert yourself and push back when necessary. Do not be afraid to stand your ground and, if needed, be willing to walk away from a bad deal. 2. Passive. Passive negotiators show little interest in the negotiation and may not contribute much to the conversation. They often remain quiet, making it difficult to progress in the negotiation. To engage passive negotiators, ask open-ended questions to get them talking and expressing their views. Sometimes, throwing out outrageous suggestions in a humorous way can prompt a response and get them involved. 3. Uncooperative. Uncooperative negotiators have a pessimistic and negative attitude, which can be draining and demoralizing. They may constantly shoot down ideas and seem uninterested in finding solutions. To handle uncooperative negotiators, try to find common ground outside the business context. Learn about their passions and interests to re-energize the discussion and bring a more positive atmosphere to the negotiation. The chapter emphasizes the importance of understanding the personality types of those involved in negotiations to tailor communication and strategy accordingly. Open-ended questions and seeking common ground beyond the negotiation can help break down barriers and improve the chances of reaching a favorable outcome. What to do when the discussion stalls. Chapter 15 discusses what to do when a negotiation stalls and offers 3 strategies to breathe life back into the discussion. 1. Redefine the problem. When a negotiation reaches an impasse, it may be helpful to step back and consider if both parties are negotiating over the right issue. Ask yourself, are we negotiating over the right problem? Engage in exercises to break free from mental traps and identify the deal breaker, the point on which the negotiation hinges. Sometimes, negotiations get stuck on insignificant points that drain energy and goodwill. By identifying the core issue, both parties can refocus their efforts on finding a solution. 2. Redefine the solution. If both parties have defined winning in a way that makes it impossible for either to win, it might be necessary to redefine the solution. This could mean settling for less than initially wanted or exploring other ways to achieve mutual benefits. By redefining what it means to win, both sides can reach a satisfactory outcome. 3. Ask questions. Questions act as a lubricant to get the negotiation process moving again. Even in the midst of the negotiation, continue asking questions to gather more information and better understand the client's priorities. The more information you have, the easier it becomes to find common ground and overcome obstacles. Overall, the chapter emphasizes the importance of flexibility and open-mindedness during negotiations. If the discussion stalls, it may be necessary to reconsider the problem, solution, or gather more information to find a mutually beneficial resolution. When to be tough and when to be easy. Chapter 16 explores the concepts of being tough and being easy during negotiations, and how these approaches can be effective depending on the situation. 1. When to be tough. The chapter begins with a story about buying a used car to illustrate a situation where being tough and not compromising pays off. The author had a fixed budget of $5,000 for a car, and he stuck to it firmly, not allowing the salesperson to sway him with higher-priced offers. Being tough can be effective when you have a strong alternative to a deal, BATNA, meaning you have other options if the current negotiation doesn't work out. When your opponent knows you have alternatives, being tough can give you a psychological advantage and demonstrate that you are willing to walk away if the deal doesn't meet your terms. 2. When to be easy. On the other hand, the chapter also highlights situations where being flexible and showing concessions can be advantageous. It emphasizes that being easy on a less important point or offering a concession can be a valuable tactic to build goodwill and strengthen the relationship with the client. In the example of a sales scenario, the salesperson agrees to a lower price per unit, being easy, while using the goodwill generated to negotiate a better delivery date. This approach can prompt the client to make concessions in return. Overall, the key to successful negotiations is knowing when to be tough and when to be easy. Being adaptable and using concessions strategically can help achieve a favorable outcome while maintaining a strong negotiating position. Calling it quits. Chapter 17 discusses the situation when it becomes necessary to call it quits in a negotiation. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, a negotiation can reach an impasse, or the other party's behavior may become unreasonable, making it challenging to continue productively. The chapter emphasizes the importance of knowing when to walk away and how to do it effectively. 1. When to walk out when you don't mean it. Sometimes, walking out of a negotiation can serve as a tactic to gain the other party's attention. By threatening to leave the negotiation, you can break the pattern of unproductive discussions and prompt the other party to reevaluate their approach. However, this tactic should only be used sparingly and in situations where you have strong alternatives or leverage. The other party needs to believe that you are willing to walk away if necessary. 2. When to walk out if you do mean it. If a negotiation is not progressing towards a viable agreement, or if continuing with the deal would be unfavorable for you, it's better to end the discussion amicably. This could happen when the deal is not feasible or when the emotional toll of the negotiation outweighs the potential benefits. When walking away, it's essential to maintain professionalism and end the conversation respectfully, leaving room for possible future interactions. The key takeaway is that walking away from a negotiation should be a rational decision, not an emotional one. It should be based on a careful evaluation of the circumstances, including your alternatives, the potential outcomes, and the overall dynamics of the negotiation. Ending a negotiation when necessary can save time, energy, and emotional stress, allowing you to focus on more productive opportunities. The end game. Chapter 18 discusses the negotiation end game, which is the final phase of a negotiation where both parties strive to reach a satisfactory agreement. This stage is likened to the end game in chess, where only a few powerful pieces are left on the board, and checkmating the opponent's king becomes the primary focus. The negotiation end game consists of two parts. 1. The middle game. In this phase, both parties are actively using their major arguments and trying to gain an advantage. The focus is on identifying the important issues and clearing away extraneous matters to streamline the negotiation. Understanding your opponent's real objectives becomes crucial, as they may not openly disclose them during the formal negotiation setting. Building rapport and having off-the-record discussions can help uncover their true motivations. 2. The end game. This is the most critical part of the negotiation, especially when the talks have been long and challenging. Both sides intensify their efforts to reach a deal and may use various tactics to gain an advantage. Some of the strategies that can be employed in the end game include setting deadlines, arguing for a comprehensive solution, fortifying your position, escalating assertiveness, and emphasizing the consequences of not reaching an agreement. However, it's essential to remain professional and not resort to unnecessary hostility or threats. The chapter emphasizes the importance of being willing to walk away from the negotiation if necessary. Knowing your walkaway points and understanding your opponent's alternatives can give you a significant advantage in the end game. Ultimately, the end game is where you push hard to achieve your objectives while seeking a mutually beneficial agreement for both parties. The devil's in the details. Chapter 19 highlights the importance of paying attention to the details in a negotiation, especially when it comes to the final contract. The story of the elated sales rep who overlooked a crucial clause in the contract serves as a cautionary tale to always be diligent in reviewing and understanding every aspect of an agreement before signing it. One of the key points emphasized in this chapter is the advantage of being the person who writes the final contract. When you have control over the contract's language, you can shape the terms of the agreement to your benefit and ensure that nothing slips by you. By writing the final agreement, you can make sure that the deal aligns with your objectives and avoids any unfavorable clauses. The chapter also emphasizes the need to thoroughly read and understand the contract before signing it. Taking your time to review the details, preferably in a distraction-free environment, is crucial to avoid unintended consequences and ensure that you are comfortable with all the terms. Furthermore, the chapter introduces the law of unintended consequences, which states that actions taken with specific intentions can lead to unexpected results. It is essential to think through the potential outcomes of the agreement and anticipate any unintended consequences that may arise from the deal. By carefully considering the contract's language and addressing potential pitfalls, negotiators can better prepare for any challenges that may arise. The devil is indeed in the details, and small oversights can have significant consequences. By being diligent, thoughtful, and meticulous in the negotiation process, negotiators can ensure that the final agreement serves their best interests and minimizes any potential risks. How to win, how to lose. Chapter 20 emphasizes the importance of maintaining a positive attitude and displaying good sportsmanship both in winning and losing a negotiation. Firstly, the chapter stresses the significance of having the will to win and believing in oneself and the product or service being offered. Confidence and conviction play a crucial role in successful negotiations. Regardless of the outcome, it is essential to handle both victory and defeat with grace and professionalism. The chapter provides an example of a sales rep who, despite getting a deal, exhibited a negative and defeatist attitude after the negotiation. This behavior not only reflects poorly on the rep, but also raises doubts about their commitment to upholding their end of the bargain, potentially jeopardizing the business relationship. In case of losing a deal, the chapter advises not to let it affect your entire attitude and to treat it as an opportunity to learn and improve for the next negotiation. It is essential to behave graciously, shake hands with your opponent, and remain professional in defeat. Likewise, in winning a deal, it is crucial to be a gracious winner. Avoid boasting or being vindictive towards the other party. Instead, focus on highlighting the benefits for both parties and follow up with practical suggestions for implementation. The chapter recognizes the value of compromise in negotiations. In many cases, a good compromise can leave both parties feeling satisfied with the outcome. Knowing when to concede on non-essential points to secure the more significant issues is a valuable negotiation skill. Lastly, the chapter emphasizes the importance of knowing when to stop pushing and accept the deal on the table. Prolonging negotiations beyond a reasonable point can be counterproductive and may risk losing the deal altogether. It is essential to recognize when to close the deal and maintain a positive and respectful demeanor throughout the process. In conclusion, the chapter emphasizes the significance of maintaining a positive and professional attitude in negotiations, both in winning and losing situations. Believing in oneself and the product or service being offered, handling victories with humility, and accepting defeats with grace are crucial aspects of successful negotiations. Moreover, recognizing the value of compromise and knowing when to stop pushing for concessions are essential skills for effective negotiators. Coming back to the table. Chapter 21 discusses the process of coming back to the negotiation table after a previous attempt has been discontinued or after a contentious exchange that led to a breakdown in communication. The chapter provides insights on how to approach these situations effectively. The first point emphasized is the need to let go of preconceptions when returning to negotiations. Both parties may have undergone changes in their objectives and circumstances, so it's essential to start by determining what is currently important to the other side. This can be achieved by asking questions to understand their current position and concerns. The chapter advises not to dwell on past conflicts, but also not to forget the lessons learned from previous negotiations. It's important to acknowledge past experiences and use them as a reference point, but not to let negative emotions hinder future progress. When making the first move to reopen negotiations, it can be advantageous in positioning the negotiator in control of the discussion and demonstrates their desire to reach an agreement. This act can also have a psychological impact, making the negotiator appear stronger in the process. In cases where the negotiations ended on a sour note, the chapter advises against forcing the other party to admit fault. Rather, it is more productive to focus on the issues at hand and work towards finding common ground. Seeking consensus on previous agreements and understanding what led to the breakdown can be beneficial in moving forward. If a salesperson-client relationship experienced a breakdown, the chapter recommends concentrating on the issues at hand rather than personal feelings. Even if there were negative emotions involved, the goal should be to achieve a successful deal with the client, irrespective of personal feelings towards them. The chapter concludes with the following points. 1. When resuming negotiations, don't obsess about the past, but don't forget it either. 2. Reevaluate your objectives and those of your opponent to start discussions fresh. 3. Whenever possible, try negotiating with different people to bring a different dynamic to the talks. 4. Never try to force anyone to admit they were wrong. Focus on the issues at hand. Some final thoughts. Chapter 22 provides some final thoughts on effective negotiating and revisits the 8 foundation principles of negotiating mentioned in the author's previous book. Closing techniques that really work. The 9 principles discussed in this book are: 1. The goal of negotiating is to end up with a better deal than could have been achieved without negotiating. 2. An effective daily prospecting routine improves your negotiating position. 3. To negotiate effectively, you must be able to identify the most important interests of each side. 4. To negotiate effectively, you must be able to develop creative options that allow both sides to broadcast a win to their constituents. 5. To negotiate effectively, you must be able to identify an outcome that both sides will recognize as fair. 6. Knee-jerk. Discounting a price is the lowest form of negotiation. 7. You must never enter a potential negotiating meeting without a backup plan. 8. The next best thing to actually negotiating from a position of strength is acting as though you are negotiating from a position of strength. 9. Every negotiation is a dialogue. The chapter emphasizes that negotiation is not always about price, and assuming that negotiate means discount is a common mistake. Effective negotiation requires understanding the interests of both sides and finding common ground to reach a fair outcome. The author shares a story of a salesperson who took a bold approach in negotiation and asked for a more significant and long-term deal than originally planned. While such boldness may not work in every situation, the lesson is to be unafraid of failure and be willing to take calculated risks in negotiations. The chapter concludes by stating that negotiation skills can be learned and improved with practice and experience, and anyone can become a world-class negotiator by studying and applying the lessons from this book.